Hello my brothers and sisters in nerdiness, welcome back to the Spider's Web, and in this video we're going to be basing these Warcry minis that we've been painting over the past few weeks. And I've sanded the bottom of each model to get the excess glue off and to scuff them up a little bit so they will stick again. And let's put them out of the way for a moment and concentrate more on the bases. So these minis, as you know, have been provided by Andy from Wigan Wargames and Roleplaying Group. And we're going to get some cork matting now. These are just little placemats kind of thing that I bought fairly cheap, and we're going to just break them up and put them on, and they will act as rocks. Now if you don't get the actual rock in the right way you want it, you can always add more, that's not a problem. This one I took off a bigger chunk than I was expecting to, so I'll glue it on again. You know, glue it back on, nobody will notice, and if anybody does notice, it looks more like a crack in the rock formation. Now here what I'm going to do is cover the base in super glue and then cover the super glue with baking powder. Now don't panic, this baking powder is never used in the kitchen, it is only used when I'm applying super glue to something. It is kept in the craft room, it is kept away from the kitchen, it's not going to get mixed in with anything from the kitchen, because everything in the kitchen, everything to be used in the kitchen is in the kitchen, so it is perfectly safe, it is kept away from food. Right, so let's have another mini sorted out, and we're going to break this one into a little, like a ramp kind of thing, because this guy looks as though he's going uphill, or going up an incline, so we'll get him a sloping rock to run up. And we do that just by making a triangular shape. You know, try and make it look as rocky as you can when you're doing this. Now here we're covering the base with PVA around the rock and dumping it in some play sand and some model railway ballast. And this is like again basically cork chipping kind of thing, very fine cork chipping, this ballast. I do quite like it, and it works wonders. It gives a little more texture to the sanded bases. So next we've got these bark chippings from Geek Gaming Scenics. This is the first time I've used anything from Geek Gaming Scenics. I've used two things from there in this video, because I bought some because I've got a little project I want to do, which I haven't started yet, but stay tuned, I will be starting that soon. So Luke, if you're watching and you'd like to help out a fellow YouTuber, get in touch. The back chipping is just basically, as usual, super glued down to the base, and we're going to put the big fella on top of that one. I'm not going to do anything more to this base at all, so we can go there. You may notice I'm moving each individual model off with the base. I'm keeping them all together so I know which model is going on which base. Now this one, the way his feet are, I thought I'd put him straddling two rocks. This one works well, so I thought I'd put another little rock on the opposite side. And this didn't work as well. It was a bit too tall. I tried to put it so that this foot's flat on the floor, but it looked as though I was about to trip over it, so I didn't think it was worthwhile keeping that one on. So I broke a little bit off just to see if it helped, but it didn't. So yeah, remove it. Too small to take any bits off, so let's get another piece and glue that on and see if this one works. And lo and behold, it does. It was as if it was made to do the job. Now we have this little tub. This was a tub with curry sauce in that I got from the Chinese a while ago, and Geek Gaming Scenics comes back with a base ready Tiger Hillside mix. Again, this and the I got this, I got the Berkshire pins, and I got the modelling compound as well from Geek Gaming Scenics for this upcoming project. And hopefully I can get that started fairly soon. So we'll cover the base in PVA, then sprinkle some of this base ready mix on, and then realised I should have done the base ready mix after I painted the rocks. Ah well. So I decided just to glue this fella back onto the base. So while I'm waiting for that glue to dry, what we'll do is we'll take the first base, because we've got on that baking soda, and it's a bit gritty now, so we'll get some sandpaper and just go around the edge of the base with the sandpaper just to smooth it down a bit. And is this fella ready? He is. So let's get the lid off the base mix, cover the base in PVA and dunk him in. Yeah, easy, simple. I do like this mix. You don't need to do anything with this at all, and that's why it's base ready. You just put it on and leave it. So we wait for everything to dry now, and we wait, and they dry, and this is what we have. As you can tell, the one that we've just put glue straight to the base isn't there, but now we're getting some Mod Podge, and this Mod Podge is special Mod Podge. It's black. It's not so black, it just has black craft paint mixed into it, and this is going all over the bases. I decided to put it all over the rocks and the bases, so I make a start, and then I realise, hang on a minute, I'm going to run out of places to hold this. So going back to the grips that I usually have, which are made out of a cheap Jenga set. There we are. Now we can go over all the bases with this black mix. And once all of the bases are done, taking extreme care with that particular base, because of all the base ready mix that's already on it, just making sure that you have the least amount of Mod Podge and paint on the brush when you get around to doing the bottom edges. Take your time. You know, there's no point in rushing at this stage. You made a mistake, you have to live with it. Basically, you've made your bed, you have to lie in it. You know, one of those situations. So just make sure that all you can do on the base on these rocks, you can do. And then it's just wait for it to dry. And we're back again. It's dried, and as you can see, it's a lovely matte finish. So we'll get our CD palette out. For this, we're going to do a little bit of dry brushing. We're going to be using Wolf Grey from the Army Painter. You can use any sort of like bluey grey for this. It's going to be a shadow area, or the shadow details of the of the rocks. Well, that's how it's intended anyway, but I decided to go all over the rocks with this, just as a bit of a mid-tone. You've got the black underneath. And it's just, as I said, base coat, not base coating, dry brushing everywhere. I'm no set way of dry brushing this. The brush is going in all directions because I want to make sure that near enough everywhere's covered. I don't want any of these ridges with a black edge. It's everything to have this blue-grey. And once we've done all the different rocks, or what will be rock, by the time we've done all that, the first one will be dried, and then we can get on to highlighting it even more. So this is the last one we're doing, and then we can use some Gorgon hide, which is a very pale grey, and we can go over the bits that are going to be hit by lights. Now I'm doing this in a downward motion. I'm hitting the model only when the brush is moving down because I want the light to be on the top of each edge, not on the bottom or underneath any overhangs. I'm also going to go over this base you know, the baking powder base as well, just to highlight that. So we are going to be going over it with paint afterwards, but yeah, that was something I decided later on because it didn't look right with the others. I was going to leave it as like a rocky base like that, but it didn't look right, so I decided to do something different with it. And you can see the difference now between one that I haven't highlighted and one that I have. Okay, so we can carry on highlighting these rocks. Once all the rocks have been highlighted, again, the first one will be dry, and we can do other things as well. You'll find out what they are momentarily. I'm making sure that around the edges there's no bits and pieces. So we're going over to washes now. So I've got some Cassandora yellow, I've got some Keelia green shade, I've got some Darkoath nightshade, and I've got some Darkoath violet. And these are going to be just splodged on to each of the rocky bases. I'll do one, then whiz through. This brush is not big enough. Let's get a bigger brush. Wash that one out, grab a bigger brush, and slap it on like there's no tomorrow. Weirdly, this the yellow colour, Cassandora yellow, looks green when you put it on. I don't know whether it's the settings on the camera, whether it's the settings I've used in the video for doing this, but it doesn't look green in person. So that's a bit weird. But yeah, it does look yellow, ignore the green. Weird. Hopefully you'll see what it looks like at the end of the video when you'll see an image of all the models. Bought myself a motorised turntable, so you're going to get a revolving image of all the models right at the end. As a group, as it were. So there we are, that's the first rock done. The second rock. Yeah, again, that green should be yellow. That green should be yellow. Ignore what it says on there. There we go, so that's all of them done. And now we wait once again for the washes to dry. They're dry. So we can go back to them. Now I don't have any Null Oil. The darkest wash I have is Army Painter's Dark Tone. So I've got this great big tin of it. And we'll take the lid off and give it a damned good stir. Got to make sure that all the sediment at the bottom of the tin is mixed in with the rest of the paint. And once you're happy with it, that it's mixed in enough, you can just start applying it to each of the rocks. I wish I had some black wash, but I don't. This looked incredibly shiny when it had dried, but hey, I do like the final finish, so I don't know. You'll see what I mean in a moment. Again, this goes over all the rock areas, everywhere. So once we finish with that, we can wipe up the overspill on the lid, around the rim, and then put the lid on. Wait until it's all dry, and then we come in with a Dremel, or Dremel type tool, or pin vise, whatever you have, and drill some holes in the bottom of the feet, because this is where we're going to put some snipped off paper clips and pin them to the base. I had trouble with this. This is far too powerful, I think, and it was making too big a hole, and I just couldn't get. I was worried of going too deep, and I was worried of making a mess with this, so I don't think I'll be using this too often. But we got this one done. So once we've super glued the pin in the mini and snipped off any excess, we can super glue. We can super glue it down to the base. So there I'm just putting the super glue to glue the pins into the mini. Give it a bit of a spritz with accelerator. And once I'm happy it's set, snip off any excess, and then we can add some more super glue and then press it into the cork rock that we have made earlier. And there it is. Looking good. Give it a bit more spritz to make sure it sets. And that's that. I've just super glued this fella. I've not bothered with trying to pin him. I've just super glued him on. And I've super glued the big fella on as well. You can see how glossy that is. So I think I might have to get some more washes. But give him a spritz, and that's it. This fella, I did already pre-drill holes, and I decided to pin him. So that's the reason he's pinned. For no other reason than I'd already done the holes and filled them in. But he's set. So there we are. That's that part done. Now I've done that bit, we can come along and do some more. What are we doing next? Can't remember. Getting the paint out. This is where I make a mistake. Goblin green I decided to use here, and I was going to go over around the bit where we put the baking soda. Didn't like the look of it, so I wet the brush, washed it all off, and decided instead to use dirt splatter. It looked a much more appropriate paint to use. So we used some of that and painted all over the area where we did the super glue and baking powder technique, and it looks quite interesting. So now, if you do make mistakes, you can always go over them. Back to the Mod Podge again, and this time what we're going to do is, when I can find out what I'm doing, I'm going to put a little bit around the edges that are showing on the big fella, and I'm just going to sprinkle on some static grass. That's basically it. That's all I'm doing with that. Oh no, I'm going into the Geek Gaming Phoenix one. I thought I just used normal static grass. I do remember getting it out, but I didn't quite remember doing this bit. So once that's on, you can brush any loose bits off back into the pot, ready to use at a later date. There we are. Very nice indeed. I like around that. So I'll put that away before I spill it. And then with this fella, we'll just come along and paint it again with the dirt splatter all around the edges of the rock to make the rock look as though, or to make it look as though the rock is actually embedded in this ground. And with this fella, we're going to come in, add a little white, I think it's Mummy's robes, to that, and just dry brush over the top just to give it a little bit of a highlight. So now we've got some lichen. Subscribe if you've enjoyed any of the videos that we've been putting out. It would be incredibly handy if you would do such a thing. You can always subscribe, or you can always share the videos rather. And if you do like and subscribe, then don't forget to tickle my bell, and that way you will get notified of all future videos when they get released. And that's a couple of ways of supporting the channel. And if you'd like to help support the channel financially, there is Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee. You can do one-off payments, one-off donation there, or you can set up a regular monthly payment scheme. As I said, any little helps. If you can help, I would be extremely grateful. So now I've got some of this clump foliage. I'm just gluing onto the front there because it looked a little bit plain. I don't know where I got that from. I think I got it from Wish actually. I don't know, but that's him done. Next, this fella, he looks okay. So I'll take them off there, and we're getting very close to the end of the video. We've not much else to do now. When we do get these all finished, I will have to give these a varnish to take off the shine from the rocks. But other than that, I say near enough finished anyway. Just add a little bit of a highlight to there, and that's about it. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you've enjoyed this series so far. We're going to be getting on with the female characters from this box set very soon, and don't forget there's a group shot of these minis at the end of the video. But until next time, as always, stay safe and take care. God bless, and bye for now.